Good morning, everyone. It's Rollie, and I want to welcome you back to another Chatting with Wisdom. And I'm super excited to be here with Jessica Samson today. And so, one of the things that Jessica is going to be talking about today is create your own superwoman. So, she's a lifestyle transformational coach, a certified personal trainer, a nutritionist, a corporate wellness speaker, and she specializes in helping women master their minds, conquer their bodies, and get the most out of life. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So as you know, for those of you who have been watching us for a while, is that we have this opportunity to be able to speak with some incredibly amazing women that get to share their knowledge, share their topic, whatever it is that they want to be able to talk about. And so Jessica wanted to be able to talk about how to be able to inspire women to become their own superwoman, and to be able to live that life on a daily basis. So if you're catching the replay, #replay, let us know that you're watching, and we will definitely come back and answer any questions. And for those of you who are watching, join in on the conversation. If you have any questions for Jessica, please, we'd love to be able to hear from you guys. So let's get started. This is super exciting. So Jessica and I were just talking about the differences in our weather. Jessica's down in Florida, and I am way up in northeastern Ontario, where we are moving into fall. Like, there's no question about it. We're getting colder, wetter weather. And so fall is definitely upon us. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to be able to talk about the women, right? So, and being able to do different things. So what are some of the things that help women be able to become superwomen? And maybe we can kind of go back a little bit. What do you mean by superwomen? So let's start with that.
Yeah. So, I think that for a lot of women, especially this year, right? This year's been crazy. A lot of women, right, we go through life and we build our careers and our families and our houses and all of the things. And what I find with a lot of women is they go along this journey is that they actually lose themselves. And so they have a great career, maybe their own business, right? They've got a beautiful family, a beautiful house, they've got a great husband, or maybe they're doing it on their own, because those women are amazing too. And they've got all these things, but along the way, as their kids start getting older and, things start changing, they realize that they've lost what actually makes them happy, right? They've poured so much into their career, into the kids, into soccer and dance and all of these things, that they've almost just lost like who they are and what actually really sparks joy in their life. And what tends to happen is a lot of women gravitate towards wanting to lose weight in order to find that again. Because they think that, like, hey, when I was younger, I was thinner, I had more energy. And what they don't realize is that the problem is deeper than, hey, I need to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to feel like I'm 25 again. And so what I like to do, and what I really like to teach women, is that it takes more than that. Like, certainly exercise and eating well and nourishing your body, like, that's super, super, super important, right? But even the concept of, like, what do you love? What makes your heart happy besides pouring into your kids and career? What, like, lights your soul on fire? And why have we lost those things? And so it's really just about creating, like, the things that make you feel amazing. And it's not, exotic vacations and huge houses and all of these things. A lot of times it's really just the simple things. And like I said, as you go along life, you just pour so much into other people, you forget to pour into yourself, and then wonder, like, wait, how did I get here?
That is so true. And all the women that I talk to, like, that's one of the things, is that it's like, my kids are grown now, or or those who are still having their kids. And one of the things that I really like is when I see young moms that are definitely still pouring into themselves and still pouring into the things that are important for them, and making sure that they're taking their own time and doing their own things, so that hopefully by the time that they get to my age, that they're not trying to figure out, where am I? What is it that's going on? And looking back, trying to figure all that out. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, the other thing, right, is if you think about it, right, like all these women, or it's kind of, I'm not going to say I hate the cliche, but it's such a cliche, right? They're pouring from an empty cup. And it's a cliche, but cliches are cliche for a reason. They're pouring from an empty cup, right? And so what, like, especially young moms find is that by taking care of themselves, they're a better wife, they're a better mom, they're more patient with their kids, they're more grateful, they're more present. They are just so much more of a superwoman for all the other people that depend on them, because moms are the head of the household. You know, at the end of the day, like, they're the queen. And, you know, if they are actually able to pour into themselves, like, their kids can feel the energy, their husband, their partner, their spouse, their coworkers, like everybody around them will start to feel like that energy. So they're not pouring on empty anymore. They're suddenly overflowing. And that energy is just such a different, more fulfilling way to go through your life.
Nice. So one of the things that that we did was we actually posted on my Facebook page, and this is the first time that we do that, is that we actually posted a feed that actually asks, saying, we're actually connecting with Jessica today, and does anybody have any questions? And Melanie did. So one of the questions that Melanie had was, what suggestions Jessica has for reducing stress, especially during these times?
Yeah, that's a question I get asked a lot. So stress is sort of my specialty. And it's something that I think women, men, everybody really underestimates how powerful of a force stress can be in our lives. Like, I think a lot of us just take for granted that life is stressful and there's nothing we can do about it, which, to be fair, life is stressful. especially this year. But stress literally kills people. Like, it kills people. And so I think we, as a society, like, we undervalue how like impactful it can be in our lives. And so stress is it's like my favorite thing to talk about. So I'm actually glad she asked. So, and I think a lot of us look at it as like, I'm stressed, there's nothing I can do about it. And the thing about stress and managing your stress is, there are things you can do. And a lot of times we think about, we need to take things away, and I need to restrict things or do less of this. And a lot of times you can't take stress away. Like, if your job is stressful, like, you can't just quit your job tomorrow. I mean, maybe you can, but most likely you can't just quit your job tomorrow, right? Like, coronavirus is stressful. Well, we can't make that go away. The elections are stressful. We can't make that go away, right? And so for the number one thing I think that we need to do more of is, it's a couple things, actually. So first of all, my favorite thing, and it's been something that's changed my life, is the act of practicing gratitude. And so it's very cliche right now. It's very trendy right now. But if you do it, there's a certain way that you can actually do it that will rewire your brain. So they've actually done studies and science on this now. So it's not just woo-woo. It actually can build new connections in your brain, to where it's actually teaching your brain to start to look for the positive. And so what a lot of people do is they're like, okay, I'm grateful for my family, my kids, my house, my job, my dog, my brothers, my sister. They go through the like stuff that you would think of to be grateful for. But if you actually take it a step further and you don't allow yourself to repeat the same thing twice. And so you're going to get to this place where you're having to find little blessings in your life. And what will eventually happen is you will start to turn problems into blessings. What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me? What can I learn from this? And you'll actually start to look for the good in things. So gratitude is by far my favorite way to change your mindset. And it's so simple. It takes like 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes per day. And over time, it's not like exercise though. You don't like exercise one day and wake up with abs. Right?
Really? That's not the way that it works?
Yeah, I know. It's nonsense, right? But it's just like that. If you actually practice it over time, it literally can change the makeup of your brain. And so that one is like my favorite way, so that when you approach these stressful, overwhelming things, your mind is more equipped to look for something that can be positive out of them, right? And I say that, like, I'm a cancer survivor, and people think I'm crazy when I tell them I'm grateful that I got cancer. People are like, "Are you nuts?" but I had two choices. One was anger, and the other was to learn a lesson and to make something out of it. Right. And so it's been this journey for me, but it's something that I'm extraordinarily grateful that happened to me.
Yeah.
So
because it gives you that different perspective, right? So, and that's one of the things, and I love gratitude. Like that is one of my favorite things to do and to teach as well. And because like, if you can actually get to that piece of why is this happening, right? So somebody who's had traumatic events, or somebody that's had cancer, or has different illnesses, or has had different experiences in relationships, it's if you can actually find that underlying of what did I learn from this, and be able to move forward, and it makes all the difference in the world. And I have a client who said, like, until I actually learned to be able to be grateful for things, my relationship patterns stayed the same. I was always attracting the exact same people, and I was always dating the exact same guys. And until I actually figured out that, like, oh, okay, here are the lessons that I'm learning in these relationships. And so now she has an incredible husband who they have like this super fun relationship and all these really neat things that that they get to do. And they have a completely different connection. And she equates that to having connected to being grateful. Like, so what are some of these what do these loser guys have taught me to be able to, right? Or and even those interactions, because we don't always interact with people the same way, right? So it's like, well, like, oh, I thought this guy was like my dream guy, but then as we kind of went along, we were completely opposite or whatever, right? So it is so neat to be able to see that transformation. Like that is so incredible.
yeah, it really is. Like you say, like in your clients, and they get it. They like wake up with abs one day, which is, it's not the same. It's the same though. They wake up one day and they're like, they'll have like this aha moment, right? Like your client, where like all of a sudden they realize that their brain has made like that switch. And it's not easy, and it's not always perfect, right? Because like when things go haywire, you're like, oh, what is this trying to teach me? How can I be grateful for this? Right? So that's why I say practice. Because it's tough when things are like super wild. It's really hard, but continuing to practice it, like I said, you have that, like your client, like where she just has this aha moment where like, oh my gosh, all these losers were leading me to this like amazing man who, if she would have met him before, she might not have even appreciated him. Yeah.
So it's really neat, like how, and it's like in all the different aspects of your life, right? So like it could be to do with your work, or could be to do with your family, or your relationships, or your own self, right? So it makes all the difference. So Melanie says, thanks for asking my question, Rollie. You're welcome, Mel.
I have more for Melanie if she wants it.
Absolutely. I'm sure she's still listening.
Awesome. So the other thing, I had, like I said, I could talk about this for like 3 hours, which we don't have, and your viewers probably don't want to listen to that. But the other one that is probably my second favorite, and it kind of combines a lot of different things into one, is going for a walk outside in the sunshine without your phone. Okay.
Oh my God, without a phone?
Right. So if you going outside, connecting with nature is proven to reduce stress. So just going outside, not having your phone, allows you to engage and be present in nature, right? Anxiety is thinking about the future and like thinking about the past. If you're actually present in the moment, a lot of that stuff releases. So the birds, the bees, the trees, you guys have fall colors, we don't. But we have lots of beautiful palm trees and things. So just walking without your phone, being present in nature. Walking is fantastic. It is like the most underrated thing in the world. So just getting that good oxygenated blood flowing through your veins is going to give you more energy, right? It's going to help cleanse your body. It's proven to reduce stress. And then sunshine. Sunshine is vitamin D. It's an instant energy booster. Right. And so going for a walk for 15, 20 minutes, not like a power walk, like just go outside and go for a walk without your phone in nature. It is like heavenly magic for stress relief. But you can't do it like grudgingly. You have to really be like looking forward to it. Like if you're out there like, oh, this is the worst walk ever, and obviously it's not going to work. But if you're like, man, and I'm going to zone out, I'm just going to like allow the thoughts to come and appreciate the sun and how it feels on your skin, and guarantee you come back, you'll feel like a whole new person. It is, I mean, it's a game changer. In the middle of the afternoon, if I've been stuck at my computer, like working away, I'm like, oh, why am I tired? I'm like, I need to go for a walk, and I'll just go for a walk around the block and just, yeah, it's a game changer. It's magic. So it combines like five stress relievers into one. And so that's a great one to implement every single day.
So, and for those people who are like way up north that don't have all that sunshine, just even still being able to go outside. So like, yes, it might be cloudy out or it might be gloomy, but there's still some vitamin D, some sun that's still coming through that still allows you to be able to still connect as well. So I just because, like I said, as we're getting further into the fall, we're getting less and less sun, we're getting more rain, we're going to be getting snow soon. And just being able to go and get that little bit of, like you said, 15, 20 minutes, right? So it doesn't have to be a long period of time, just to be able to get out, go around the block, or like just walk up to the post office, like, because we don't get our mail delivered to our buildings. So like walking up to the post office or things like that, right? So like just these little things, and being able to do that, like you said, not begrudgingly. And that part there is really important. So like, I know that we have lived in our area for a long time, but like when I go for a walk, and I intentionally go for a walk, then that's one of the things. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was there. Oh, look at that house. I can't believe how beautiful that they look at how they've set up their flowers, or like different things, right? So it's really incredible to be able to do that. But like you said, if you're doing it because it's like, oh man, I have to go do my workout, I committed to doing like 15 minutes and I have to go out now, and that kind of thing makes a huge difference, right? So
yeah, for sure. I think you said something really important there, like these little things. So that's something that, like, when I'm coaching my women, I coach a lot about, is that like people think it's like this one big thing that's going to change their life, right? Like they go on these like crazy diets, or they cut out carbs and wine, or they start working out 6 days a week, and they go to like this real like extreme. And what I find is that oftentimes, like you just said, it's like these little things. And when you just kind of like add them up and you start just stacking them on top of each other over time, that's how they add up into big results. It's very rarely like this one major like intervention that makes changes. To your point, it's like those little tiny things that you can do every single day. And like, I think that for a lot of women, we get caught up. A lot of us are overachievers, right? We want everything to be perfect and we've got to go like all the way. And I think for a lot of us, getting that mindset back of like, it's not just a 10-minute walk. Like we have this, like, only a 10-minute walk. Like, what's that going to do for me? Like, no, it's a 10-minute walk. It's great. Like, that's a fantastic place to start. So I think like the idea that you just said of like, it's the little things, I think it's so important.
Yeah, it really makes a difference. And so Melanie says always, and we need to learn to manage stress. Thanks, Jessica. So she's answering your question. You're like, if Melanie would like to have more, I've got more. So she's answering that question. But that's so what are some of the, like, are there any other, like, so you said that you had some different tips, like, is there anything else? So you had the being able to go for a walk, you had the practicing gratitude. I'm like, where did it go? The word's gone.
Yeah. So I think for, for a lot of women, especially with kids, houses, careers, and things like that, I think that if you're feeling really stressed and overwhelmed, planning and having routines. And so when I'm working with clients and I'm working with a bedtime routine, they're like, Jessica, like, I'm grown up. This is what I do for my kids. And I'm like, your body likes routine. It likes predictability, right? Part of the reason COVID is so stressful is because it's unpredictable, right? We don't like unpredictability. It's not safe for us, right? And at the end of the day, we crave safety, right? That's how we've survived as a species. And so we crave routine. And so even if people are like, I don't like routines, I like to be spontaneous, your body, your DNA, like biologically, you do better with that, right? back in the day, we woke up with the sun, we went down to sleep with the moon, like your body craves these types of things. And so a lot of us underestimate the stress of unpredictability.
Mm-hmm.
And so setting up a consistent morning routine, a consistent time you're going to exercise, a consistent bedtime routine, right? What time do you get in bed? What do you do before you get in bed? How do you, making sure you're getting your 8 hours of sleep. Like, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? Are you grabbing your phone and going on Facebook? Or are you waking up and setting your intentions for having an amazing day, and then stretching, doing gratitude, and really starting your day in this like beautiful, purposeful way, and then getting into the chaos, like allowing yourself some of that peace. So I think the idea of, I kind of said a couple things there, but setting up routines can reduce stress, but it also allows you to start each day and to end each day with purpose. And so a lot of times people are like, I don't have time. Well, everybody has time, right? It's a matter of what you're doing with it. Are you watching Netflix before you go to bed and drinking wine? Or, right, are you setting your intentions for the next day? Because at the end of the day, whatever you're thinking about before you go to sleep is what your brain's going to think about all night. What you think about when you wake up first thing in the morning is setting up your expectations for the day. And so if you wake up in the morning and you say like, oh, today is going to be so stressful. Kids are going back to school. They've got a test. It's snowing. My boss is being a jerk. Well, you just set up that's what your day is going to consist of.
Yeah.
It can't go any other way. You've just set that intention. And so a lot of times when we wake up and pick up our phone and it's bad news, like America's crazy right now. So if your brain is so susceptible and open when you wake up. So instead of setting these really great intentions and having these really strong routines, right? We wake up and look at the news and check our email and check Facebook. All of a sudden, we're just inundating our brain with all the things that stress us out.
Yeah.
Right. So this idea of having a really nice morning routine and a really nice bedtime routine, those are great. And then even just having a plan for like the weekends, right? Like, what are you going to do for fun? What are you going to do to get out and enjoy yourself? Right. Otherwise, your weeks just turn into like Groundhog Day, where you're just going and going and going and going, and you don't ever really push pause. And so just getting like a little bit more purposeful in some of those routines and really like designing your day to look the way you want it. And this isn't something that you need hours to do. I'm talking like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So Michelle says it's so hard to be consistent sometimes, for me anyway. And so like what is really important, so something that you actually talked about was having those routines, and that people seem to think that those routines need to be like an hour long, right? And they don't need to be. Like you said, it's only about being able to set that intention. What is it going to look like today? But one of the other things that I think that is really important based on something that you said is that you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, life is going to be horrible and it's just not going to go right, and all these different things that are running through your mind. And when you catch yourself, and this is the part that I think that is really important for people to be able to remember, is that until it becomes habit, until it becomes routine, is that when you catch yourself, stop and say, okay, so Alt, clear, delete, right? So just, okay, let's start fresh. So yeah, that's what was going on 5 minutes ago. Let's figure out what it is that we're doing right now, right? So like what's happening right now in this moment. So how can I propel this forward? Excuse me.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And it goes back to what we were saying about like, right, we set really high expectations for ourselves. And if you expect that you're just going to start this tomorrow and all of a sudden you're going to be like grateful, zen, like transcending the universe, that's not reality. Like it's not, you're setting up yourself to fail. And so, the idea of what she was saying about it being hard to be consistent is like, start small. So like when I introduce people to meditating, I tell them to start with like 3 to 5 minutes, 3 times a week. And they're like, that's it? And I'm like, that's it. Have no expectations for it, right? People are like, sit down and they try to meditate for 30 minutes, 5 days a week the first time. And it's like, of course you're overwhelmed. Of course it didn't work. Like that's really, really, really hard. I've been meditating for a long time. That's tough, right? And so I think if we set realistic expectations and realistic goals, it will help you be more consistent, right? Maybe you start with just 3 times a week of whatever it is that you're trying to do, and then add in 4 times, The other thing that's really important, and I think this is something so common with women, is we have a lot of negative self-talk, right? Yeah. And so if we don't do it perfect, we're beating ourselves up. And so almost sometimes saying that stuff out loud is really powerful. So I have an exercise I do with my clients where we actually name that little voice and we actually talk back to her. And they feel silly at first, but it's really, really, really powerful, because if you imagine somebody saying the things to you that you say to you, you would be appalled. Yeah. Right. And so this idea of like wanting to be consistent is like, listen to what that thing inside of you is saying and challenge it a little bit. So if you want to get more consistent, give yourself some positive reinforcement, right? Hey, that felt really good. I really enjoyed those 5 minutes of being present. My day was a lot better because I set my intentions for the day. So really reinforcing the benefits and what you're getting out of it is something that can be really helpful. Just so that it's like almost giving yourself like a little treat, right? If you want to teach a dog how to do something, you give them a treat, right? So it's like giving yourself a little mental dopamine hit when you do something well. And that's how you create those positive habits and positive reinforcements. If you beat yourself up because you only meditated for 5 minutes, well, your brain is going to be like, okay, well, every time I do that, I get beat up. I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah. So thinking about those types of things can help build some of that consistency. So we don't reward ourselves with food because we're not animals, but you can give yourself that same dopamine hit by just saying like, man, you meditated for 15 minutes this week and last week you did 0. Like, go you, you're amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And like that is just so important for us to be able to do, because we don't give ourselves enough of that. But yet we do with our kids, we do with our friends, we do with our family members, we do, right? So like, it's like, all right, way to go, right? So it makes a huge difference. And so like for anybody who has kids, when you actually do that positive reinforcement, when you give them that sticker, right? So put that sticker, if that makes it easier for you, is put the sticker on the wall, right? So go buy yourself some stickers at the dollar store and start giving yourself a sticker for every time that you do something that you set out to do. And by the end of the month, like your calendar is filled with stickers, right? Because it's those little things, right? So I set out to do meditating 3 times a week. And so, I only did it twice, not the end of the world, because I still got 2 stickers, right? 2 out of 3 is better than none.
I love the sticker idea. So I use like almost like a grading system, because growing up in school, that's what we all do. So I have my clients actually write the specific goals and then they give themselves a grade. And I know for me, like if I get like a 90-something%, I'm like, oh yeah, I got an A. Otherwise I'm like, oh, I got a B. I think I could probably do better next week. But I love the idea of like even like gold stars, right? Like every time you do it, you put it on the calendar, and like seeing that visual, like mental treat, right? I think that's so powerful. I love that idea.
Well, see, and I have a lot of clients that, so like the percentage with me for many of my clients would be that because they're type A personalities, and then they would actually feel like a failure if they weren't getting that 90%. So if they weren't getting that A, then they would really struggle with it. So then we'd have a whole lot of other things that we'd have to work on. So the stickers is perfect, because then they actually get to see. Right? So they actually get to see those stickers. Or the other technique that I would use is being able to get a glass jar and getting some pebbles. So like getting those rocks, again, you can get them at the dollar store or whatever, and you get those pebbles. And so for every time that you do something that is rewarding, you put them in the jar. And when you filled it, so you have like your goal of, okay, well, once I get a full jar, like this is what I'm doing to be able to treat myself. And but like, in the meantime, like these little pebbles allow me to be able to have that visual of being able, because we do really, really well with visuals, right? So most of us are like, oh my God, I'm halfway, I'm almost there, right? So, and you can use a big jar, you can use a little jar, depending on what it is that you're doing, but it allows you to be able to have that visual. So like those are, and I use them for kids when I would actually do kids programming with different people. But then it's like, why can't we do these with adults? Like we love to be cheered on too, right? So
yeah, that's similar to something that I've used in the past, which is like not a tip jar, but like a jar. And I like the pebbles. I've done it in the past with like paper, where you like write down your accomplishments, like when you do something well and you like put it in there. some people do like a list and they'll end up with like a journal full of accomplishments. But I like that. I like the pebbles, especially because then it would like look really pretty when it was done. You got like really pretty rocks, right? But yeah, that's like an accomplishment jar. And then when you're sort of feeling down or feeling blue or feeling like you haven't accomplished anything, sometimes it's so fun to look back and like look at your journal from like 6 months ago and remember when you're excited about something and you're like, now you're like, I do that every day, right? Right? Like if I think about now giving myself a pebble for meditating for 5 minutes, I'd be like, I mean, I do that all the time. But when I first started, like that's a huge accomplishment. And like how easy it is for us to forget like how far we've come.
Yeah, and it's incredible, like the little things that that make that difference, right? So, and one of the things that you actually talked about when you with the when you actually signed up to be able to come on today is that you actually talked about like ways to be able to create that energy so that you have that momentum so that you can kind of keep moving forward. And all of these little things, and they are little things, right? So they may seem huge as in terms of a task of being able to get things started, but it's like if you take them in smaller chunks. But like when you actually start doing them, like I have a client who when she first started, it was like journaling. I can't journal, like that's going to take me forever. And so now she journals first thing in the morning and first thing at night. So she actually writes down what she is intending on doing, like how things are like. So she sets her intention in the morning with her journaling and whatever it is that came up through the night. And then she puts down at the end of the day is that she actually does what I refer to as brain dumping, where you actually just whatever it is that's going on in your mind, because she has a lot of anxiety. So whatever it is that's going on in your mind, she does the brain dump, and then she closes off her journal, puts it aside, and then she's able to go to sleep. And most of the time now, she can actually stay asleep for the entire night. But when she doesn't, because something has creeped up, then she wakes up in the middle of the night, she grabs her journal and she starts brain dumping again, closes her journal and goes back to sleep. And so it makes a huge, huge difference. And again, it took her a while. It was like, okay, I can't do this. I only did this once this week. It's like, well, it's once more than you did last week. Right? So like, it doesn't matter. It's just all those little steps. And then it recharges you, right? Because then you sleep better, you eat better, you work better, you interact with people better, right? So like all these different things happen because you're, like you said, when you first started, is that you're now able to pour from a full cup as opposed to an empty cup.
Yeah. Sleep is one of those things that people really underestimate the value. I mean, sleep is a game changer and it affects your whole life, right? You're more effective at work, so you can work less hours, right? You're not as short-tempered. To your point, you eat better. There's actual like hormonal changes in your body when you don't get enough sleep that lead you to feel more hungry, sort of outside the scope of what we're talking about. But there is actual science that it makes you eat more when you're under rested. And I think you're right about this brain dumping thing. I've used that with some of my clients. A lot of women have anxiety before they go to bed. And it's because it's like, I got to get laundry soap. The kids have this. I got to do this. And they've got all this like stuff and they're afraid to like lose any of it. And it leads to sleeping and insomnia, like sleeping issues and insomnia. And I think that's a really great, technique is just to get it out of your head, whatever it is. And it does allow you to sleep better, which sleep is such a game changer. Such a game changer. So sleep hygiene is something that I think is super important if you're feeling really stressed. And people think like, if I sleep less, I can get more done during the day. But you're really just kind of operating at like 60%. And that's why it takes you so long to do things. If you operate with 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, your brain is functioning at such a high level that you don't need that much time to get things. Your brain's just like firing on all cylinders, and you're so much more efficient and more effective.
And it really does make that difference. So it's and like you said, it's so underestimated. People don't really notice and how to be able to do that. So now one of the other things that you had pointed out is that things that you actually do with your clients and that you enjoy being able to do with your clients is being able to help them gain confidence. So again, all these different things that you've actually talked about really connect to helping them gain confidence. So is there anything more that you want to be able to add around that?
So we have this idea of confidence. Women, that is the number one thing women tell me that they want. And we associate confidence, again, because we had it oftentimes, like we think back to our 20s and we were a certain size and we wore certain clothes and we acted a certain way. And so a lot of women associate confidence with a weight, and there's no correlation at all whatsoever, right? So that's the first thing to recognize. The other thing that trips women up is they think they can just do a thing and become confident. Confidence has to be built. So just like you build a house brick by brick, and all of a sudden you have a wall, which I'm not a house builder, but that's how you build a house, right? Like, you don't just go and put curtains on a house before it's built. You're not like picking out pillows and paint before the house is even built. And so women are trying to get confidence and they haven't actually built anything to sustain that confidence. And so all these things that we've talked about and celebrating these small wins, each of these little wins and each of these things is like a brick that you're building this big, beautiful house, right? This house, the house of your dreams has to be built brick by brick before you can put pillows on the couch and pick out the paint colors, right? So women, all of a sudden, we just want to go straight to like decorating. Like we're like, I'm picking out paint, I'm picking out pillows, like curtains, like this is gonna be the most beautiful house. And it's like the house isn't even built yet. So we literally build the house brick by brick. And it's by doing all of these little things that sound woo-woo or sound out there or whatever. Every little one is like a little piece of the bricks and the puzzles. The puzzle, it's one puzzle. And so stacking the wins, taking care of yourself, like just taking care of yourself is something that creates confidence. So exercise is important. I think women want to go like hog wild on exercise, 6 days a week, hit boot camp. Totally not the right approach, especially for a woman in their 30s, 40s, 50s. You cannot go to boot camp and then go running and try to beat your body into submission. It doesn't work. It actually breaks your body down. So I think a really smart exercise, like well-programmed, thoughtful exercise that feels good and that you enjoy is certainly something that's very important. And it has nothing to do with weight loss. It just the psychological changes that happen in your brain when you exercise are really, really, really powerful, right? For mood, for energy, for things like that. So I think exercise is certainly a big piece of it. Eating well most of the time. There's a lot of studies and a lot of research into food and how it contributes to moods, depression, mood swings, irritability, things like that. And so I'm not saying we should be eating chicken and broccoli all the time because that's boring. And I like ice cream and pizza and cake and all those things. But the majority of your food should come from whole food sources. And I don't believe in restricting anything. So if you want to have confidence, you need to be confident that you can be around food and have it not affect you. And that doesn't come from restriction. So confidence around food is something that's really important for women. And so that doesn't come from cutting out carbs, cutting out wine, cutting out chocolate. It comes from actually taking your power back over those things and realizing that they have no power over you. That will build your confidence. So food, exercise is certainly a big one. We've talked about a lot of these mindset things like the gratitude, bedtime routines, planning, these types of things. They're all really, really important to confidence. And I think at the end of the day, recognizing that confidence comes from doing. You cannot sit on your couch and wish for confidence. You have to create it. And if you don't believe in you to do it, you have to find somebody who does and will push you until you're able to start laying those bricks. So you need somebody to literally show you how to start laying those bricks, and then you get some momentum. And that momentum is really, really powerful, because then you're like, all right, wait a second. You start seeing the wall being built and you're like, wait a second, maybe I can build this house, right? And so if you don't believe in you, you've got to find somebody who does and will help. Like they will show you how to start putting the bricks. Like if I was building a house, I would need somebody to show me. I have no idea.
Don't you lay the bricks on top of each other? Like But one of the things like with building the house is being able to lay that foundation, right? So like, yes, building all those pieces parts. And those are some of the things that you talked about at the beginning was, right? So being able to tap into those three things that you talked about, right? So that's the foundation of building that house. That's the foundation of building where we're actually going to become. And it takes some time to be able to build that foundation, right? So if you don't have a strong base, you're not going to be able to keep the house standing.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's like a house of cards. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. So like, and that's, and you've got some really great points on how to be able to do that. So, so again, I can't believe like this is incredible. I love speaking with women that have this incredible desire to be able to help, and we don't have and it just, the time just flies by, and so like we're already 40 minutes in again. Like,
I love talking. I can talk forever. So.
My spirit name is Gigadomigwinkwe, which stands for Talking Feather Woman. So yeah, I'm definitely a talker.
I think I need a spirit name. We might have to talk about this afterwards.
So, but it is incredible as to how easy it is to be able to have these conversations, but it's like, what are the next steps and how to be able to do those things? And Jessica's actually talked about some of those things, about being able to start small, right? It doesn't have to be big things. So getting up in the morning and setting your intention. And again, if you get up in the morning and you get up with like a, you're on the wrong side of the bed kind of thing, then just being able to say, okay, let's start over. Right? So like, as soon as you notice it, let's start over. It doesn't mean the day's a wash. It means let's start over right now. And so that you can actually move through and being able to do those things, but being able to start small things, right? So like, so when Jessica was talking about meditating, and so my friend Chuck talks about meditating all the time, in the sense that what he says is that he, because people are like, oh my God, I can't meditate. My mind is racing a mile an hour. And especially because I work a lot with people that have anxiety, is that they're like, oh, my mind is racing a mile an hour. It's like, as soon as you notice that it's wandered off, then just bring it back. It's not the end of the world that it's moved off. So it's moved off, and then eventually that 3 minutes turns into 5 minutes, turns into 15 minutes, turns into half an hour, right? So it doesn't take long for it to happen. It's just about being able to be consistent and setting up a routine that actually works. And I love one of the things that you said about the importance of making sure that you also have some sort of routine over the weekend. Right? So like, not necessarily like structured the same way that you do when you have to work and stuff, but being able to like plan, going out and having fun, going out and doing the different things, and planning going to spend some time with family or friends, or doing and being able to let loose a little bit, but still having like that plan of being able to do stuff, right? So it doesn't have to be like rigidly structured like it does when you have to do work stuff all week, but like being able to have that plan of having an idea of, how am I going to have fun? How am I going to tap into that fun-loving person that I was when I was in my 20s, right? So before we had kids, before we had all these responsibilities and routines, right? So
yeah, fun is something I didn't talk enough about, and it's like central to my coaching, to my core, to everything, and how I live my life. And I think as adults, we forget to have fun. It's like we feel like we're supposed to be tortured, and it's like, you have all this Saturday and Sunday. So I have my clients have a list of things like around town, not even a bucket list, like just like museums or parks or a craft they wanted to learn. Maybe it's playing the guitar on YouTube or taking Spanish lessons or whatever, doesn't matter, right? And like, have this whole list of like fun things that they always say they're gonna do, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Write them down and start executing, and it changes the ball games for your weekend. Yeah. It is like, I mean, it's a game changer for your weekends, because then you're actually being purposeful and having fun and disconnecting, and you're not on your phone, and you're doing something that like, it just really fills your soul. And so that's a great recommendation for anybody watching, like all those someday, or you see like on Facebook where somebody will like post an activity and you're like, oh, that would be cool. Start writing them down. Like, get a whiteboard and start writing them down.
And the one of the things that was that just kind of came to mind is that you were talking about some of your clients who struggle with like, oh, I like being spontaneous, and like routine really structures me, and having a list of things that you can just kind of pick off still within some time frame, right? So I'm going to be able to do these things during these times. So it still allows you to still be spontaneous. But I love that list part, because then it's like, oh, I can spontaneously pick to go to a museum. I can spontaneously pick to go and do that that guided tour. I can spontaneously pick these different things, but like the rest of my structure is still there, which allows me to be able to function. So so it makes a huge difference. And I love that list idea. So like, this is great. So
Yeah.
I've learned lots with you this week or today. So this has been great.
Awesome.
So, so now one of the things, so in the description, there is a number of ways for you to be able to connect with Jessica. So Jessica, is there anything that you, anything else that you want to make sure that people know, or something that you have coming up, or something that you do with clients that you think that would be important for people to maybe check out? I've got a whole list of things.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I could honestly, we could talk. I could sit here and talk for hours. I think I've given away some of my favorite tips right now, and I think some of them are probably already overwhelming people. So instead of giving like more to-dos that would change their lives, you know, I think just implementing one or two of these things, even like I said, going for the walk or implementing the gratitude and doing it like right now and making that decision is going to be really powerful in terms of, hey, making that decision to start making these changes one step at a time. The one thing I would offer is, if your viewers are interested, I do run a free women's wellness group. So I'm in there doing coaching. I'm not selling anything. I'm literally just in there coaching. So I do a lot of mindset coaching. On Fridays, we do food and fitness. And so it's really just like a warm, welcoming sort of safe space for women. And it's not just diet and exercise, right? I talk a lot about how to do these things, how to execute these things, how to set goals, and really just try to help women live a better life, because I think a lot of women are suffering and they feel like they're suffering alone, and they don't have to, and they're not alone. And so I would love if anyone's interested in being a part of my community, they are absolutely welcome to learn more there. I don't know if you have it linked up. So that would be the thing that I would offer if they want a little bit more of me. And then you can also find me on Facebook. I'm all over Facebook.
Yeah, me too. That's my thing. I'm on Instagram too, but like, it's not, I still haven't been able to find the groove within that,
yeah.
Fit Mind. Hang on.
It's called Fit Mind, Fabulous Body.
Yeah, if I can actually type, we'd be doing even better.
So Fit Mind, Fabulous Body. You'll see there's a picture of me, and or you can go to my profile, which is Coach Jessica Samson with no P. Coach Jessica Samson, and then it links you up right on my profile, and my profile is public.
Perfect. So so I've put that in there as well. And so one of the things that so as well, we have our holistic wellness lounge that we do as well, and it's about being able to like find different things that that are able to help us be well. So sometimes it's products, sometimes it's different services, sometimes it's different things. So yeah, so it's a great place to be able to have that community, right? So when we have community, it makes all the difference in the world. And it takes a village, right? So we talk about it takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village for us to be able to come in community. And so like, I know that my heritage background is that women used to gather regularly, right? So they would gather on the full moon. They would gather at different times of being able to follow different routines. They would actually cook together. They would actually raise their kids together. They would do like all these different things, and we forget that we need that community, right? So the more that we have in terms of connecting with each other, the better it is that we can connect, and that we can grow, and that we can experience. So those things are extremely important. And I am looking forward to being able to stay connected with you, and being able to share different experiences, and to be able to work together. So this is great.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Like, you and I have so much like in sync with the things that we talk about, and just the way that we want to support women. And so this is awesome. I really, really, really appreciate this.
So thanks everybody, and definitely reach out to Jess if you have any more questions. And these, so again, you can comment on the different posts because Jessica has access to any one of these as well. So like if you're catching the replay, definitely ask any questions, or and I know that some of us need to be able to process. My husband laughs at me all the time because like I'm spontaneous typically. I don't normally need to kind of think things through, but that's my Aries. That's my Aries sun. And but he's one of the people that need to think about, right? So if you're like, oh, I was listening and I wanted to ask this question and I didn't get a chance to, then definitely pop it in so that Jessica will definitely come back and answer you. So like, this is great.
Yeah, if somebody has questions or something that they wanted to ask or they're on replay, like don't be afraid to ask. I will absolutely like answer whatever question it is. I'm here to help people. So if you have a question that comes up, definitely post it and I'll be happy to answer it for you.
Perfect. So thanks very much, guys. And we will catch you guys next week at 10 a.m. for Chatting with Wisdom.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.